Now, thanks for staying with us here on Morning Live. After consultations, Treasury has finally published proposed new legislation that seeks to establish a two-pot retirement system in South Africa. Now, if this legislation is passed, South Africans will be able to access 1/3 of their retirement savings throughout their career, while 2/3 will only become accessible upon retirement. Now, the reform allegedly is meant to prevent South Africans from cashing out their retirement savings in its entirety when they resign. The legislation notes 1 March 2023 as the starting date for this new regulation, and interested parties have until the 29th of this month of August to submit comments to Treasury. So for more on this, and also if you have any questions, you can send them to us. We're joined now by Stefan Fouche, who's a financial advisor and estate planner at Liberty. Stefan, so good to have you with us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you so much, Akina. Thanks for the opportunity. Glad to share it with you guys.
Let's start at the beginning with the basics and definitions. So firstly, what is the difference between a retirement fund and a pension fund?
Well, basically, Sakina, there's actually no difference between the two. I mean, it just depends on obviously the fund and when you actually take on the fund, in that certain state. Because, obviously with your retirement funds and pension funds, the rules might just be different within that fund. You're looking at a corporate perspective or individual perspective, but they're more or less the same. The rules still obviously remain the same. They changed the rules obviously from before we could actually have full access with your provident funds and stuff before, where actually with your pension, provident and retirement annuity funds, we actually have to take a compulsory annuity now. 1/3 obviously as a cash lump sum payout, and then the other 2/3 obviously gets annuitized where you actually purchase an income. So it's more or less, across the board, it is the same. It is the same.
So, Stefan, looking at the proposed new legislation, what would the difference be regarding how people can access those funds currently versus what Treasury is proposing to implement in March 2023?
So basically before, you can actually, access that only at retirement, early 55 and onwards, okay? Where they now with the new, legislation and stuff coming in from National Treasury, where you can actually, it's going to be a new two-part system where you're going to have like your retirement pot and then obviously your savings pot on the sideline. But your retirement contributions or pension contributions before 2023, March 2023, obviously will still remain the same. So you can only access those funds at retirement. Whereas with the new two-part system going on forward with your new contributions will be split in two. So obviously your retirement pot and then obviously your savings pot, where your savings pot will be the accessible, side, and your retirement pot will obviously be accessible only at retirement once again. So you have to have an accumulated, obviously, amount of 2,000 Rand in more in the savings pot saved up. And then obviously when it comes to your tax portion on that withdrawal, when you actually do opt to actually withdraw those funds, will be actually taxed at your marginal tax rate, as we before obviously will be taxed on your normal retirement tax rate when you do get to retirement.
So just in layman's terms, if we can use a practical example for instance, if an employee resigns now, August the 3rd, 2022, they are 50 years old. So what happens to them?
So when they actually opt to either retire or resign, whatever the case may be, the fund rules as stated before March 2023 will still remain the same. So you'll still obviously through the company have full access to the funds. But now this is where the thing comes in, is that obviously before, let's be honest, when it comes to retirement, when people actually do resign, the only way they could have access to those funds is to actually resign or actually retire from that fund. So now obviously what they're trying to do, and I think, obviously reading up a little bit on it, what they're trying to obviously implement and trying to do is create a balance between obviously, preserving those funds and obviously having like a savings mechanism obviously attached to like a retirement fund, if that makes sense. So, I can see a lot coming from it though. I can see, savings obviously multiplying over the long term. We have to focus on the long term itself and not actually, focusing on the short term goal, because having access short term is nice, but now we need to still be focused on the long term going forward, because that will have a dramatic impact on your withdrawals going forward, how your retirement would look like. You want to try and sustain the same lifestyle that you have, today as when you do reach retirement. So when a person actually opts to retire, or resign from the company, the rules and stuff will still remain the same prior to the March 2023 in that regard. So nothing will change as at before that date. Everything will remain the same.
And Stefan, just coming to the taxation again, you said the nominal rate will apply to
Yes.
one of the pots. So let's just talk through that very slowly.
Okay, so basically what will happen is, if you don't have to opt into this, obviously from before, it will be an automatic aggregation that will actually be implemented going through, with your new contributions, from March 2023. But now you have to have an accumulated amount of 2,000 Rand and more in the savings pot, all right? Which, if you do opt for the withdrawal, will be taxed on your marginal tax rate, all right, and not your normal retirement tax rate or withdrawal tax tables, okay? It will be taxed on your marginal tax rate. So that means if you have multiple streams of income and your tax rate is, say, 36% or 45%, that withdrawal will be basically taxed on that marginal tax rate, whichever you obviously taxed on at today in your taxable income, all right? So basically what they say is, as well, the maximum we can contribute is 27.5% of your taxable income, all right? Anything over the 27.5% that you do obviously contribute to every single year per annum will obviously vested into the retirement pot side and not the savings pot side, okay? So anything below or under 27.5%, obviously the 1/3 will be vested into the savings pot, all right, which you will have access to. But anything over, they will not obviously approve withdrawals, anything under 2,000 Rand. So anything over 2,000 Rand will be taxed on your marginal tax rate.
And then with regard to the retirement portion of it, what is the taxation regime with regard to that when that eventually happens?
So when you get to retirement, it will be obviously your normal retirement tax tables when you do get to retirement. So that will be unchanged. It's just obviously based on the withdrawal. If you do want to have access to the savings pot side, will be actually taxed at your marginal tax rate. So normal to retirement tables will obviously apply when you do get to retirement itself, early 55, or when you do opt to retire, whatever you selected when you did join the company before, obviously all your normal personal contributions. So that will be obviously, taxed at your normal retirement tax tables when you do get to retirement.
So just in terms of the rate, Stefan, what is that possibly looking at those timetables? If I have R1 million in my retirement pot, how much am I likely to be taxed?
So it's so hard to say, Sakina, because at the end of the day, every single client is going to be a different scenario. So at that point, we can't really say what the tax will be, because they're going to have to take in everything into consideration, what you did withdraw before. Was there any prior, obviously, withdrawals prior to this new date, the March 2023? Was there anything prior to that? Because that will obviously have an effect on your lump sum that you're going to get at retirement and those kind of things. But obviously, they're going to still, like I said, it's hard to say to obviously what they're going to use or what you're going to implement at that time. It depends on how much is actually accumulated in the pot or how much is accumulated in your retirement, and then will obviously be taxed accordingly. So I can't say a specific tax rate at the moment, because it's hard, because every single client will be a different scenario.
But is there a threshold that you would not be taxed beyond?
Yeah, so obviously, there is a certain cap that you will not be taxed on. So, but obviously, like I said before, that will depend on obviously client to client. So it's hard to say now, what the effective tax rate will be, and then what the exclusions will be at retirement.
So people should just know and expect that. What's your reaction?
So like I would add as well, is like I said, if that person or if that client does come to retirement, then you'll have a sit down obviously with your financial advisor and actually discuss and say, what will the implications be and what will the thresholds be at that time? Because there's going to be brackets, and there's going to be different brackets you have to look at, when you either resign or when you actually opt for retirement. There's going to be different tax tables that needs to be applied. Just depends on the decision that the client is going to make at that point. So that's what I'm saying. It's hard to say whichever tax rate will apply at that point.
And it's such an important point, Stefan, because, someone would be sitting there thinking, oh, I'm going to get R1 million. You have to factor in the fact that there will be taxation leveled on that particular portion as well.
That is correct. Yeah, that is correct.
So you don't get a shock at that point and start crying foul and throwing things around. So it's good
that's
that
what I'm
people
saying.
are
I mean,
aware.
preparation at the end of the day will be optimal. Preparation, sitting down with your financial advisor when you guys did decide, or discuss your goals and stuff like that. So I'm going to encourage everybody else to actually just stay and not make any informed decisions right now. Don't be hasty. Don't go and make withdrawals at the moment. Stay focused on your goal that you actually decided to. And then when, March 2023 does come, to your plate, decide what you want to do going forward with that. But I mean, for now, just stay focused. Like I'm encouraging all my clients at the moment as well, just to stay focused, stay on the goal that we did decide. Because I mean, when you get to retirement, I mean, there's going to be the difference between having a 30,000 income and a 25,000 income. It can be a dramatic impact on your life, to sustain that same lifestyle that you had today, if you had to retire today. So what they're going to have to try and do, just stay focused on their goals, just maintain, your savings every single month that you're putting away towards retirement. Keep that going. Don't go make any informed decisions right now or any irrational decisions at the moment. Because I mean, like we said, National Treasury is still busy. They're still waiting for the public to obviously come back to them at the end of this month. And then obviously we'll know basically from there what's going to happen going forward. But that's the basics and all of this new two-part system that they want to implement. But I can really see a lot of good things coming from it, though. I'm not going to say I do agree or disagree with it. But I mean, there's a lot of good things that can come from it, though, actually pushing extra savings into the economy, making sure people are saving for retirement, because a lot of people, let's be honest, that I meet myself personally, don't save for retirement at all. I mean, there's a lot of other things they'd rather spend money on, like takeouts and stuff like that. So, I mean, one sacrifice of takeout can cost you, income at retirement. So, I mean, think about the small things.
And you just about stole my thunder there, because I wanted to ask you, what your thoughts were with regard to this proposed legislation. But further to that, just in terms of receiving some resistance or even a possible rejection by the employees, do you think that's a possibility?
I mean, like I said before, I mean, what they want to try and create is a balance between obviously making sure that when people do resign and leave their companies, that they actually preserve those funds and make sure that they actually preserve those funds. Because, I mean, a lot of people resign and use those funds for some other goals, some other things on the sideline. And then before they hit retirement, that they actually sacrifice their long-term goals in not having an income at retirement. So, I mean, I don't think there's going to be a lot of, back end, towards this, because, like I said, the balance between obviously preserving funds and actually having like a savings mechanism, like a savings vehicle within a retirement fund, is not a bad thing. I don't think it's going to be a bad thing, because, I mean, with COVID and stuff that hit before, if you had access to something of that, I mean, at least just a portion, I mean, it could have helped a lot of people, without, taking loans and stuff on the sideline. So I think that obviously it is going to make a dramatic impact, in terms of like a short-term relief, if you have to actually access. I'm not saying you're going to access as of when you need it. I'm just saying basically that you're going to access it when you crucially need the funds, if you want to, look after your family or whatever you have to do with those funds, going forward. But don't sacrifice your short-term goals to actually, or sacrifice your long-term goals, to mitigate your short-term goals. Still look at the long-term, because, I mean, it is a long-term commitment. You have to still stay to that long-term commitment you made to yourself, when you start saving for retirement. So, but yeah, I don't see a lot of backing coming through from it, though. I do agree. I can see obviously savings, going forward. There's going to be a lot more savings going forward. A lot of people are going to actually save more for retirement and actually taking it more seriously, which they should. And then, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of backing on the side.
But if we look at the current economic situation, Stefan, many South Africans really feeling the financial pinch of the current economic situation. So, taking that into cognizance and people's desperation perhaps to access some funds that they don't have to necessarily pay back, How does that factor into what government is trying to do? Because I can imagine someone sitting there who's on the verge of losing everything saying, well, you know what, just give me all my money so that I know I can settle what I need to settle and I don't have to pay back the bank or any other lender. What if South Africans in their numbers came out and basically gave those sort of comments and feedback to this proposal? Will government actually listen to that? Or, does government have their own view on what should happen, and that's ultimately what's going to happen?
I think what they're trying to do, though, is the fact that, looking at the current situation with everything sparking at the moment, interest rates going up, petrol price spiking, everything, going up at the same time, looking at the economy going forward. So what they're trying to do is just give people like a little bit more relief. I think they're just creating a little bit more relief. And, if people could obviously have that access, it's just going to take more relief, off the government itself as well. So I think at the end of the day, the relief is going to help people, and at the end of the day, people should stay focused on their main goals. I can't stress this more. Stay focused on your main goals. And like I said, even like before COVID, have like an emergency fund on the sideline, sacrifice a little bit, have an emergency fund on the sideline where you can actually go back to. But now that they're creating like a savings mechanism within like the retirement fund is going to help going forward. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people are going to actually want to save more and sacrifice more so they can have those funds in the future. Having more liquidity and cash in the future is going to help. It is going to help you. It's going to help your family, and less strain on the government. So that is going to help the economy going forward. I think is a huge improvement.
It's hard, Stefan. It's very hard. You try to save, you start saving, next best thing, everything's going up, fuel, electricity, and suddenly you find yourself having to dig into those savings for some unforeseen eventualities. And the reality is also that many employees don't have financial advisors. What can they do? Who can they go to?
So basically, at the end of the day, so all they can do is that they have to go and seek a financial advisor. Go seek a financial advisor. I'm always out there, to obviously assist and educate my clients. So they can always reach out to me. But at the end of the day, financial advisors play a crucial role in this industry. They play a crucial role. They play a crucial role in your life, in your family's life. So at the end of the day, if you don't have a financial advisor, please make a point of it to actually see someone that actually can guide you going forward with your financial needs. And like I said, there's going to have to be some sacrifices within your budget or whatever the case may be. So make some sacrifices, eat one less takeout a month, and that can actually start, building a savings mechanism on the sideline for you. So whatever you're wasting money on, stop wasting those funds. Stop pushing that 30, 40, 50 odd rand towards an investment for the next 30, 40 years, and you'll be surprised what that accumulated amount will be at the end. So don't be surprised when you see that and you actually have an income at the end of the day. So, but they can reach out to me. They can reach out to any financial advisor, that they might know or might know of. Reach out to them. They play a crucial role in the industry. So they can reach me out. They can send me a WhatsApp. They can send me an email. They can WhatsApp me at 082-3188-001, or they can actually give me a phone call at 063-308-2818. Or my email address is Stefan, Stefan Fouche, Fouche @liblink.co.za. So, but please do and make a point of it. Make this your new goal, that you want a financial advisor in your life. We play a crucial role in your life and your family's life by making enough provision for you guys at retirement or throughout your life, mitigating risk going forward. So, yeah.
Stefan, thanks so much for sharing your expertise with us this morning. Stefan Fouche, a financial advisor and estate planner at Liberty. And he gave you the details there. Should you need a financial advisor, find one, go to one, because it will stand you in good stead in the end of the day.